Hi and welcome to SWAT Gaming. Today we're going to work with a counter widget. So let's take a look at what we're going to do here. So if I press the play button here, so we have first of all a little widget. We got a couple of buttons here with a up and down, and we get a confirm button. And we have a pre-populated number here, 20 right now. We can start to push this button up and down. We got some audio going out from the buttons. If we click the shift button here and hold it down at the same time as we click on the up button, it will jump with a section of 100. If we hold the alt button, it will do it in sections of 10. And if we just release it, it's going to use the single number. And of course, if we go down below 0, it will not count anything below 0, no matter what I do. Next thing we're gonna do here is that if we put a number in here, for example 400, it will start counting from that 400 straight away. And then we have the confirm button, and all this is gonna do today is that it's gonna populate a text field up here on the left side of the screen. So we can click on it and it populated 400. And if we go down and remove a little bit from that and we press confirm again, it will automatically populate. So that is just to see that the confirm button is actually working. All right, we got some stuff to do here, so let's go right to it. All right, we are here in the editor, and I have now removed all my files, so we'll start out from scratch. So if we go into the content browser, and I'm gonna take a little look at what we have here. All I have is I have a map called tutorial, and I saved that out, so that's all we have. So in the count widget, this is where we're going to work, and we actually have nothing in here. So let's get to it. So we're going to start with creating a new widget. We're going to call it CounterWidget. User interface, widget blueprint, user widget here, and CounterWidget. And I want it to start with the big C, capital C. There we go. I'm going to start with adding an overlay here. Drag that on top there. We're going to have a background blur on this one as well. Get a background blur. We're going to place that on top of the overlay. I'm going to stretch it out to the max here. I'm going to place a blur strength of 5 pixels. And let's compile and save this and go back to main page. So let's get into the level blueprint here. And on event begin play here, we want to create a widget. Get that there. And the widget we're going to create is the counter widget at this point. So we're going to add the widget to viewport. And the target is this one. Return value is the target. Now we want to get the player controller. And we're going to drag off this, and we're going to add the show mouse. Set the show mouse cursor. I'm going to set it to true so we get the cursor all the time here. All right. Compile and save and go back here, and I'm going to press the play button and see that we have a blurry picture here. Perfect. Let's go back to the counter widget here. So first we're going to add a size box. Place that on top of the overlay here. And the size box, we want to place it in the center, horizontal and vertical. And then we're going to put in the width override here. We're going to put it at 480. And the height override, we're going to put it at 100 pixels. So we get a box in the middle. We're going to add a horizontal box here. We're going to place it on top of the size box. And we're going to drag another horizontal box on top of this horizontal box. So we get two, one on top of the other one. We're going to put this to fill and set it to 0.6. And then we are going to add a button And we're going to set it to fill and 0.4. And this will be the confirm button. So we can add a text field here as well. Drag it on top of the button, and we're going to set this and write confirm. So for the button here, we want to set the tint to white for the normal, and we'll set it for hovered as well. Set it to white. And when it comes to the pressed, we want it to be a little grayish. And then for the outline, we're going to place it to black for all of them. Okay, and then we want to set the corner radius here to 10 for all of them. Do it for the last one too. Perfect. And we have the width of the outline to going to be set to 2. The next thing I want to do is I want to have a sound when to be played when it's pushed or pressed. And if we just click on the drop down here, we don't see anything because we haven't imported any files into this. However, there are some sounds that we can use. So if we click on the cogwheel here and we press show engine content, we can actually write UI in the field here, and we can take a dockable window open here, Soundwave. We can click on that, and that will make the button make some kind of noise when we are pressing it. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to work a little bit on our text field, the confirm button here. So I want to keep the color and opacity to white. However, I want to get to this outline size here, and I want to put it at 2. So we have an outline on the button. And I'm going to change the shadow here, the alpha of the shadow, drop shadow, to 1. And then we're going to set the shadow offset to something like 2 and 2. That gives us a little drop shadow. All right. Let's add a overlay to our horizontal box here. And we will stretch this out to fill. Let's add a vertical box on top of the horizontal as well. In this vertical box, I want to have fill and 0.3. This will be a vertical box for our up and down buttons. We're going to add an image for our overlay, a little background image here. And we're going to set the tint to black. I'm going to change this alpha to 0.5. Okay, and then we're going to stretch it out to the max here. We're going to add a text field to this as well. This is the edible text. I'm going to put it on the overlay. I'm going to set it to center and center. And for the font family, we're going to set it to Roboto, and size, we're going to set it to 36. And for the text, we're going to set 0, and hint text, we're going to set it to 0 as well. And for the background images, we are going to set everything to 0 alpha. Background image. Just to make sure that nothing is interfering when it comes to the color. Now we're going to add a button to our vertical box. I'm going to set that button. We're going to start with one button here. Let's see, that one. I'm going to set it to fill. going to work with one button at a time. Now we're going to do this. I'm going to go into our content browser and I'm going to pull in some files I have. This is something I created in Photoshop very, very fast, so it's nothing special. And it's going to be 4 chevrons. So it's 2 up and 2 down, and it's 1 up yellow and 1 up gray, and 1 down gray and 1 yellow gray. So we're going to mark all of these, and then we're going to right click and we're going to go to Asset Action. We're going to do Bulk Edit via Property Matrix. So this is so we change all of these. The information that we want to change will change on all of them at once. So what I want to do here, I want to go to the compression and I want to change the compression settings here from default to user interface. That's it. So what we can do now is Control S to save all of it. And that is that. So we can close that down and now they're all saved. What we're going to do here is we're going to take the button and I'm going to change the image to, this is going to be the top one. We're going to do chevron. We're going to do up normal. We're going to do the same thing for the hovered, chevron, up normal. And for the pressed, we're going to do chevron, up, pressed, because it's a little yellow tint to it. All right. The next thing is I want to do is I'm going to change the tint here to white. I'm going to change the cornering to 6 pixels for each. I'm going to change the outline to black. And I'm going to change the width here to 2. Now we're going to do the same thing for hovered. So white, black, and 2. And for the pressed one, we're going to leave it to gray, but the outline need to be black and 2. Also need to change the cornering here to 6 pixels for each. There we go. I'll save that. And now we're going to copy this button and paste it on top of a vertical. So we got 2 buttons and we can name this down. I'm going to name the first one up. And we're going to name the confirm button confirm. I'm going to mark this down button and we're going to change the chevrons to the down version. Down normal, and down pressed. Compile and save that. Now we have our image here. We are also going to change the audio for the pressed. So we get none at this point. We are going to write UI. We can just take the dockable window open. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. Dockable window open. Save, compile. And well, we got some sounds and that is perfect. Okay, let's go back to the counter widget here. We're going to go to graph and what we're going to do here is that we are going to add on click on all these. So we get the up on click, we get the down on click, and we have the confirm. We're going to add a on click on that one as well. That's the one we're going to work on last. Now we also have the editable text here and we want to have on text change. So we're going to grab that and work with that as well. I'll say that. So let's start with going to work on the clicked up button here. We're going to add a variable and we're going to call this amount. It's not going to be of type integer. And this is going to be instance editable and expose and spawn. So we can use this widget within other widgets. So whenever we spawn this, we can automatically add a starting amount that we can start with. So it's always good to have that possibility. Now we're going to compile and save that, and we're going to put a number on this, for example 20, so we have something to start out with. In the designer here, we're going to go to the text, and we are going to take the text there, and we're going to set the text here to the amount. So that is the same. All right, go back to the graph. Let's drag off one of these amounts here. We're going to get that. So we're going to drag it off there, and we're going to push the plus button and get an add node. We're going to add a 1, and then we're going to press the alt button, drag out an amount here, so we get a setter. I'm going to push that in there and connect those. So every time we are pushing the up button, it will automatically add a single number, and then I'm going to set it. So we're going to do the same thing for the down button. We are going to copy these, paste it in here, but we are going to subtract instead of adding 1. And we're going to connect that to the amount and set it. So let's compile, save, and you'll see that everything works. Going up goes well, going down goes well, and the problem is that if we go below 0, it's going into the negative, and we don't want that. So let's deal with that straight away here. I'm gonna close this because I have to keep opening that instead. So what we want to do here is say that if this result, if the amount minus 1 is less or equal to 0, I'm going to put a branch here. If this is true, we're going to drag out a new setter here. Boom. So if this is true, if it is below 0, we want to set it to 0. If it's not, we want to set it to this number here. So compile, save, and just test it out. And this is what you do. You just test it out, do a change, test it, and see it works fine. So what happens now if I put a number here, for example, because I can enter a number, I can enter 25. Looks like I have 25, and I push the up button. Oh, it starts over as where it was. So that 25 doesn't really matter right now. That number that we put in there is just a number there. So we need to address that. We're going to do that now. So on text change is something we have. So every time we change the text, we can actually do something. So we're going to drag a amount setter. And we want to set this amount to the text amount, right? But we cannot connect this straight away. So we need to get from text, we need to get it to string. And then from string, we can actually connect it to this one. So now it changed into an integer. Now we want to know if this number is 0 or not, less. So we're going to drag off this, and we're going to go less or equal to 0. If that is true, then we want a branch. So if that is true, we want to set this. We can copy this and paste that right there. If this is true, we want to set it to 0. If it's false, we want to set it to this amount that is set there. So what happens now is we compile and save, and then play it. If we set this to 5, and then we go up, then it starts counting from 5, because every time we enter a number, it will automatically update the amount number straight away without confirming it. All right, and of course, if we set this to -5, it will automatically become 0 again. So -95, and then we push down, it's 0. Perfect. The next thing I want to do here is I want to fix the whole push button at the same time as we're clicking. So we want to push the shift button at the same time as we push the button, and that will change the amount that we are actually changing. To get the shift button, we need the player controller, because the player controller is handling all the inputs. So we start with get player controller. And from this, we're gonna get something called is input key down. And here we can actually choose which key we want. So we can click on that, and we're gonna click on the shift button. So we're gonna choose the left shift. So we're gonna take the branch here, connect it into this, connect that into that. Now we're going to actually make a function about this, because we're going to use it 3 times. So for example, here, we'll push that in there. We're going to have that one, and then we're going to have another one for the true here, and then we're going to have another one for the alt button. So I want to do a function out of this. So right click, collapse the function. I'm going to name this add to amount. I'm going to open this up, drag this off a little bit there. And we are going to, when this is marked, we're going to add an input, and we're going to go amount to add. This is going to be an integer. This is what we're connecting to the plus function. I'm going to compile that, save, and we're going to go back. And now we are saying that if the shift button is pressed, if that is true, we're going to add 100 to each. I'm going to remove that, boom. And if that is not clicked, we want to see if the alt button is clicked, left alt. And if that is true, we're going to do another branch here. Drag off that into this, push the false button. If that is true, we can copy these 2 times. So if this is true, if the alt button is pushed, we're going to add 10 to it. And if it's false, we're going to add 1. That's it. That's all we need to do there. We also want to do something similar to our negative. I got some room here. So let's get these 2. Copy that. Paste that there. And drag this over. I'm going to do a break, a branch here. Connect that. So we have that connection. We want to do a function out of this one as well. So we're going to create a collapse function, and this is going to be called subtract from amount. And I'm going to double click on that one, and we want to have a new input here. We're going to call it subtract from amount, and we are connecting that to this one. So now we get a number, and if the amount minus this number, if that is less or equal to 0, if that is true, the amount is going to be 0. Otherwise, it's going to be the amount minus this number. So that is perfect. So if this is true, if the button is pushed, we go to subtract 100. If that is not true, then we want to see if the Alt button is pressed. Do a branch here. And we're going to check if the Alt button is pressed. And then we are doing the branch. And we're going to copy this 2 times. 1 and 2 times. And if it's true, if the Alt button is pushed, then we want to subtract with 10. And if it's not true, this false, then we want to subtract with 1. All right, so let's compile and save this and test it out. Going up, going down, going up with hundreds, going down with hundreds, going up with tens, and going down with tens. That works fine. I'm gonna mark this 55. I'm gonna push up, push down, start counting straight away. Perfect. All right, let's just do some kind of function for our confirm button as well. So we have something happening so we can see that it's working. So what I want to do is I want to drag that down. So we have that separated. And let's go into the designer here and take a text field, text box. We're going to place it on the top overlay here. And I'm going to put a padding of 25 pixels to get it into the center there. I'm going to change this to maybe 50 pixels. And the block, text block here, I want to empty it out so we don't have anything in there. And compile and save that and go into the graph. So what I want to do is whenever we click this button, we're going to take our text box that we need to push this variable. So we have the variable there. That's the text block. I'm going to get that and we're going to take the set text. So we get the set text here. Grab that and we're going to take our amount and push that in here. Sorry, we have to grab it out first and get it, and then we can push it in there. So we get the converter node as well. Compile that, save that, and that should be it. So if we now push this up, everything works like it should. And then when we click the confirm button, we should get the 131 up there. And there it is. Perfect. Not harder than that. So we're going to use this in our next tutorial when it comes to the drag and drop. So what I want to do is that whenever we press shift and drag an item from one field to another, I want this to be populated. So if you haven't seen my drag and drop tutorial, please check it out. Link is in the description. And I'm going to build on that and use this widget to be able to drag a certain amount from one stack to another. So check it out and I'll see you in the next tutorial. So have a great one and please push that like button and subscribe button because it really helps me out. Thank you so much and have a good day. Take care.